Welcome to the second episode of our podcast series, Decode Digital. In this episode, Anna and Sean will delve into the findings of the recently conducted DORA readiness survey, providing valuable insights into the preparedness and strategic adjustments necessary for compliance. Let's get started.
So, we talk a lot about trust and resilience in the financial sector here in Luxembourg, right? It's kind of the bedrock of the whole thing.
Absolutely. It's what sets Luxembourg apart.
Exactly. But there's this new survey out from the CSSF, our financial regulator, and it's got some pretty eye-opening findings.
Oh, like what?
Well, get this. Only just one financial institution in the entire country feels totally ready for the DORA regulations coming in January 2025.
Wow. One. That's a bit startling.
Yeah, it kind of threw me for a loop, too.
For those who haven't bumped into DORA yet, what's the quick rundown?
Right, so DORA stands for the Digital Operational Resilience Act. And basically, it's all about making sure financial institutions can handle those digital disruptions.
Disruptions like?
Think cyber attacks, tech failures, anything that could throw a wrench in the system. We're talking banks, insurance companies, even your fancy fintech apps. DORA touches everything.
So it's not just about the tech itself, but the stability of the whole financial ecosystem.
Exactly. It's about making sure those systems we all rely on can weather the storm. And that's why this deep dive is so interesting. We're really digging into this CSSF survey to figure out what's going on, why there's this gap.
Yeah, why is there that gap?
Well, the good news is that a lot of institutions participated in the survey, almost 80%, so at least people are aware of DORA. And it seems like the CSSF had two main goals with this survey. One, to figure out how prepared everyone really is.
Makes sense.
And two, let's be honest, to give a little nudge to those who might be dragging their feet.
Right. A little wake-up call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There's this huge disconnect between awareness and actual readiness.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for me.
So the overall readiness score, a dismal 2.8 out of 4.
And 4 being?
4 being totally good to go, fully prepared.
Ouch. So even though they know about DORA, they're not exactly racing to the finish line.
Not even close. A whopping 71% admitted they only feel partially prepared.
It's like they've read the chapter headings but skipped the actual content.
That's a great way to put it. And get this, a full 10% haven't even started comparing their systems to what DORA actually requires.
Seriously. That's like waiting until Christmas Eve to start shopping.
Right. Talk about a last-minute scramble. And what's even more concerning is that even though nearly 90% did do some kind of comparison,
Yeah.
knowing you have gaps doesn't magically make them go away.
True. Very true. You can't fix what you don't know. Or what you haven't even looked at, apparently.
And believe me, there are some pretty big gaps to fill. One of the biggest shockers in this survey was the number of, contractual nightmares.
Contractual nightmares.
As in, over half of the respondents said that making sure their tech partners are DORA compliant is a major headache.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a tough one.
Right. And it makes sense when you think about it. We're talking about a financial world that's more interconnected than ever, right?
Absolutely. Institutions rely on all sorts of third-party providers these days.
Yeah.
IT systems, cloud services, you name it.
Exactly. And that's where the domino effect comes in. If one of those partners isn't up to snuff on DORA, wow.
It can snowball pretty quickly. One weak link can impact the whole chain.
Like a game of digital Jenga, pull out the wrong block and the whole thing collapses. And speaking of challenges, this next one is a familiar tune, but it's still a big one. Resource shortage.
Ah, the classic resource crunch. Always a crowd pleaser.
Right. The survey found this to be a pain point across the board, but it's really hitting payment institutions and investment firms hard.
Interesting. I wonder why those groups in particular.
It's a good question. Maybe it's about the types of technologies they rely on, or maybe it's something else entirely. But either way, they're feeling the pinch. And it makes me wonder, is it just about budget constraints, or is it also a lack of specialized skills?
It's a bit of both, honestly. Finding people with the right cybersecurity chops, that's not cheap.
No kidding.
But it's not even just about bringing in new hires. You have to upskill your current staff, too.
Right, get everyone on the same page.
Exactly. Plus, you have to think about implementing those robust security systems, making sure everything's compliant with DORA. It adds up fast.
Yeah, those cybersecurity experts, they don't come cheap, do they?
They know what they're worth. And finding those with DORA-specific expertise, good luck.
It's like trying to find a unicorn.
Pretty much. So you've got these contractual headaches, you've got a shortage of skilled workers. What else could go wrong, right?
Huh. I see what you did there.
Just wait, there's more.
Oh, no, don't tell me.
The survey also highlighted another big hurdle on the road to DORA compliance: teamwork, or the lack thereof.
Ah, yes. The importance of playing nice. It always comes back to that, doesn't it?
It really does. People often think of DORA compliance as purely an IT issue.
Yeah, it's the tech guy's problem, right?
Right, but it's so much bigger than that. You need everyone on board, all singing from the same song sheet: legal, compliance, risk management. The whole gang has to be in sync.
Yeah, it really does take a village, doesn't it?
It really does, and that's where things get tricky. Because even if you have, say, a bank that's poured millions into top-notch security and brought in the best cybersecurity people money can buy.
Right, they've ticked all the boxes.
Exactly. But then their legal team is dragging their feet on updating contracts, or risk management hasn't really caught up with the new tech.
Well, that's a problem.
Big problem. They're still incredibly vulnerable.
Like putting a state-of-the-art lock on a flimsy old door.
Perfect analogy. It doesn't matter how strong the lock is if the door itself is weak.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's what I think is so worrying about this whole thing. It's this lack of internal coordination coupled with the already difficult task of coordinating with external partners, right?
Right, and that really underscores why that overall readiness score is so low.
Because even if a bank has the budget, the talent, if they can't get their act together internally, let alone externally.
It's a recipe for disaster.
And as you said, time is of the essence here. January 2025 is right around the corner. Feels like a lot of institutions are just, well, scrambling.
They are, and it really highlights that awareness isn't enough, is it?
No, not at all. Knowing DORA is coming is one thing, but actually putting it into practice, that's a whole other ballgame.
And it raises a really interesting question, I think. Could this lack of readiness actually create an uneven playing field?
Oh, that's a good point. How so?
Well, think about it. Larger, well-established institutions, they usually have deeper pockets, bigger teams.
Right, more resources to throw at the problem.
Exactly. They can hire those expensive consultants, invest in the latest and greatest technology, dedicate whole teams to DORA compliance. But what about the smaller players?
The fintech startups, the smaller firms.
Right. Can they keep up with these mounting compliance demands? It's a real David versus Goliath situation.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, will this end up widening the gap between those financial giants and the up-and-coming innovators?
It's a real possibility.
And it's a conversation we need to be having now before it's too late.
Absolutely. This isn't just about checking boxes and meeting a deadline. This is about the future of finance.
Exactly. It's about making sure everyone has a fair shot, that the system is truly resilient, not just for the big players.
Well said.
Well, on that note, I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on today.
A lot to think about, that's for sure.
A glimpse into the state of DORA readiness here in Luxembourg. And it's a mixed bag, right? There's awareness, there are challenges, and there's a whole lot of uncertainty. One thing's for sure, though. January 2025 will be here before we know it.
It sneaks up on you.
It really does. So, to our listeners, we'd love to hear from you. How do you think this push for digital resilience is going to reshape the financial landscape? Will it create a more robust and secure system? Or will it lead to new vulnerabilities, exacerbate existing inequalities? Let us know your thoughts, and until next time, happy diving.
We hope you found our deep dive both informative and engaging. To stay updated with our latest insights, don't forget to follow Cyber Solutions and share. We'd love to hear from you about which topics you'd like us to explore next. Comment or write to us with your ideas. Stay safe and stay informed.